and welcome to Gentle Yoga at Noon. I'm Jeani, your guide for the next hour. We're at the ACC Community Room, and with our class of Gentle Yoga, we're exploring just keeping our joints warmed up, maybe a little bit of gentle movement during our walking sun salutations, so that we can have just a little bit of our major muscle groups kind of active and moving about. Then we make our way down to the floor for a cool down. We're focusing on balance poses on our way down. Then finally down to the mat. We can kind of give our body the space to respond to today's practice. So as usual, we start at the back of the mat, making sure you have some water too nearby. We've had so much heat lately. Just keeping hydrated is part of hopefully your practice as well. So standing at the back of the mat, let me turn on the music, and just give yourself the time to arrive. We don't have to change the quality of the breath. You're just noticing how the body is arriving at the mat, how the feet feel under your body, how the legs may be feeling. And as you start to check in, things start to quiet down. Let's keep a gentle bend to the knees. And the legs can be longer and straighter as we return to our home base of mountain. But for now, we'll start to cultivate the breath, bringing the left hand to rest on our chest, right hand somewhere underneath the belly button. Just continue to breathe. Feel the air entering the nose, filling the lungs. Maybe the hand at the chest can even rise with the top of that inhale. That brief pause before you start to slowly exhale. And as you feel the air leaving the body, go ahead and press in that belly hand. Engage the core at the bottom of the exhale. And our last piece of the puzzle, bringing in the sound of the ocean, opening up the back of the throat. And just like an ocean wave, a nice soft yogic breath. We'll go ahead and put that in our toolbox, staying connected to it at any time you like. We'll go ahead and reset the mountain just once more. You can lift the toes, lift the heels, rock until you feel settled in. Feet are about hips distance apart. Let's go ahead and start to inhale. Feel the legs. Feel the body lengthening upwards, energy drawing from the feet up the body through to the crown of the head and beyond. On the exhale, we slowly feel that energy returning. The body is long, rooting down as the energy returns to the earth. With the next inhale, start to roll that center of gravity towards the toes. Feel that tipping point, hopefully at the end of that first breath. Pausing briefly, we slowly roll with the next breath to the back, to the heels, until you find that edge, that tipping point. And go ahead and use the next breath or two to find that toe to heel alignment. And then we'll settle in somewhere at the center, near to the heels, above the ankles. Inhale once more, reset the mountain, feeling longer. And then with that energy up, we're going to just simply exhale, roll the weight towards our outer right edge of the feet. At that tipping point, fully exhaled, inhale up to center, exhale over for a 3-part breath. Or you could just use each breath to rock from side to side. The body is long, and you're just really rolling on the soles of the feet from left to right. And then return to center. Again, the top of the ankles near to the heels. Reset the mountain once more. And as we're lifting upwards, gentle tuck of the chin, slowly start making circles at the ankles. It's just small. And as you make that first orbit, you'll find out how the body is feeling at that ankle area as we shift the center of gravity wider towards the perimeter of the feet this time. And when you find that, go ahead and tighten in the circles and return to center. We're just exploring the soles of the feet and how they are our foundation. Go ahead, reset the mountain once more. Inhaling upwards, lengthening up through the crown of the head. Small circles now in the opposite direction. Make them ever wider as you explore the perimeter, the edge. Once that's found, tighten them in and come on back to standing at mountain, like water going down a drain. Go ahead and reset. You can bounce gently, you can roll up on the toes and the heels. Do whatever you need to reset. We'll come back to our mountain once more. Inhaling nice and tall. Let's go ahead and start making small movements, just swiveling. Our feet might be just a little wider than our hips. Just step on out with either foot, just a little bit wider. Maybe pivot in the heels a little bit more, pivot out the toes a little bit more, and then we'll start swiveling, turning the upper torso. And as we move more and more of your torso towards one side, you can lift up on that foot, that side's foot, pivot on the heel, and gently let the body sway, bringing movement without grinding at the heels or the ankles. We're just basically opening up, letting nice soft arms kind of use the momentum of our turning from side to side into movement that might tap against our sides. And breathe all along the way. Once we're done, we can go ahead and let that energy peter out. Return to our home base of mountain once more. We'll move on up to the shoulders. So at this point, as we got more of the movement in our hips and our lower body, let's go ahead and start thinking about lengthening up. You might think about tucking in the tailbone and gently just bringing some energy of the pelvis moving forward, just lengthening. You can keep that deep bend to the knees, or you can start to lengthen upwards. And now as we're moving up towards the shoulders, palms facing forward, gentle tuck of the chin. Let's go ahead and inhale. Shoulders come up. Fully inhaled at the top, and then exhale. Roll them back and down. At the bottom of the exhale, see if you can tuck in the angel's wings, tips to the mid back, and fully engage the core. A total of 4 breath cycles for this round, for this set. Using the ocean breath, that yogic breath, to help feel the release as you inhale upwards and as you exhale back and down. I think I have one more. And then we'll repeat this with the second round, but this time inhaling up, we're going to exhale forward the shoulders, still letting them melt back down at the bottom of the exhale. And the breath is in the nose and out of the nose, engaging the core at the bottom of the exhale, lengthening on the inhale. And that was the last one for me. Let's go ahead and move on up to the throat, the neck, the head. So giving ourselves another chance to readjust our home base here. Feeling nice and long, inhaling. Exhale, allow the right ear to dip towards the right shoulder. Both shoulders are still in line on a horizontal line. Inhaling length. Exhale, turn the gaze if you haven't already. You'll naturally stop where you need to. And just give yourself the next few breath cycles to see if you can find release on the left side of the neck. Maybe the eyes can even land on the rightmost side of your vision. If you find that you're kind of leaning towards the right now, go ahead and bring a little more weight to the left side of the body. Stay evenly balanced at the feet, the hips, the shoulders. With that last exhale, let's go ahead and bring the eyes up, the head. The crown of the head completely lifts at the top of the inhale. So all you have to do is exhale over to the other side. There's about an orange-sized space between the earlobe and the shoulders. Inhaling length, exhaling to release. Turn the gaze if you haven't already. See if you can hear the ocean at the back of the throat. Finding all that energy, circulation in the tight spots around the neck. Maybe even the eyes. And after that very last exhale, go ahead and inhale. Roll the eyes back towards the center. Head lifts completely at the top of the inhale. So all you have to do is roll the eyes downward on the exhale. Keeping a long back of the neck still, nice and upright energy lifting, while we just gently tuck the chin just slightly. A nice space between the chin and the chest. Give some space to the top cervical discs at the base of the skull, all the way down to the mid-back. Nice and long, with just a slight tilt at the crown of the head towards the ceiling. In here, very last exhale, let it just be the shoulders melting down the back. And then you can inhale, roll the eyes towards the midline, past the midline, towards the ceiling. And when you can see it, go ahead and stop craning the neck and use the next 4 breath cycles. See if you can release any tension in the throat. Opening the jaw slowly, making gentle movements with the lower jaw. You can point the chin upwards. Shoulders are rolled back and down still. Notice if your feet are moving, if the soles of the feet are moving the foundation. Keep an even distribution of weight at the feet as well. And after your very last exhale, go ahead and let the eyes float back towards the midline, crown of the head lifting still. And back here we can go ahead and shake out any residual tension, activation of muscles. Lift the feet. I have a tendency to grab that mat, so it's a good thing to lift the feet every now and then. Reset our mountain once more. And we'll go ahead. We'll move downward with our hands, energizing down. Let's go ahead and begin our first few folds. Inhaling, arms go up as we're still reaching. And at the top, reach up with the torso. Engage the core, step into the feet, and go ahead and hinge at the hips. Start to come down with a long back. And if you have to, you can always bring the hands down, walk them down. You're slowly letting the upper back fold to your first forward fold. It's pretty lengthy, about 5 breath cycles. So give yourself some time. You might be kind of like me at this half lift position, but eventually we want the body to feel like it's relaxing and opening up. The arms, the upper torso, nice and relaxed, while the hips down to the heels are supporting you, that nice column of support. If you feel a tipping forward, just bring a little more weight towards the ankles, towards the top of the ankles, back of the heels. See if you can feel good, stable support at the feet. Notice if you're holding onto your head. You just gently bobble the head around, forward and back, side to side, maybe even in a circle, one direction then the other. And all the while keeping the bend to the knees. If the backs of the legs are tight especially, you might have a really deep knee bend. You might have your forearms supporting your back. You might have more of your upper body leaning towards the mat, chest getting closer towards the thighs. But just try to relax. We're probably at our 5 breath cycles here, so let's go ahead and do a slow roll up. We're going to use our hands if we need to, but engage the core. Press the feet into the mat, firm up the legs, slowly roll up the spine. Use the hands if you need to help. Inhaling all the way back up. And then head is the last to stack on the neck. Palms hopefully facing forward. And just allow the blood to rush back to the head. Give yourself another readjustment of your home base at the feet in mountain if you need, and we'll do another fold. A little shorter this time. Reaching downward. Let's go ahead and inhale, arms extend upward. At the top, let's go ahead and engage the core and start to hinge at the hips. Bend the knees if you need and fold. Float on down, walk the hands down, but let the back relax downward. Give yourself 3 breath cycles here. You can bend one knee, straighten it. Bend the other knee alternately, straighten that. You can sway the hips from side to side. You can give yourself a deep bend. Hold on to the shins. See if you can lengthen through the legs a little more. And then now, prepare to come out one more time. Slow, roll up, or a straight back. Either way, we're going to engage our core. Inhaling, come on up. Hands above the head. And then exhale, hands down heart center. In here, let's go ahead and inhale. Standing weight to the left side of the body. Lift the right foot. Exhale it down. Heel, ball of foot and toes. A soft, gentle step forward. Engaging the core to help keep your balance. And you'll feel at the soles of the feet, that center of gravity changing as you lift one foot and balance. At the top of the mat, let's go ahead and look down at the fingertips. Meeting in mountain, inhale, press through the palms. Watch the fingertips rise. Exhale, separate the palms and hinge at the hips again. Engaging the core is so key. Float on down, walk on down. Come down to your third fold. Inhale, half lift. We're just going to lengthen through the back. You can press into your hands if it's in contact with the shins, the floor, the thighs. Just lengthen through the back from the tailbone to the crown of the head. And then exhale, engage the core and fold. Bring the hands down to either side of the feet. Step one foot, other foot, maybe a few steps back. And bring your shoulders, inhaling shoulders over the wrists and bring down the knees. Untuck the toes and come on to your high plank modified with shins down. Notice how the shoulders are oriented above the wrists or maybe a little back behind the wrists if your wrists are a little sensitive. Keeping most of your lower body supported by the shins or the tops of the feet. And keeping that belly button, the core engaged, belly button sticking to the spine if you can. One more inhale, one more exhale. Let's go ahead and tuck the toes, lift up the hips, exhale, press into those long arms, shift the hips back towards your down dog. Now you can have lifted heels here, you can have a deep bend to your knees. We're eventually getting to a point where hopefully the heels and the hands are moving downward toward the mat. Arms and legs are lengthening, but in the meantime, you can always have a deep bend to the knees as you're stretching out the hamstrings, calves, Achilles heel. If that's all tight, you'll have lifted heels. That's okay. Keep a bend if that helps. Keep a bend to the knees. Engaging the core, feeling a lifted sensation at the hips is still key, while at the feet and the hands, we're pressing downward and extending through those limbs as best that we can. Hopefully the head is somewhere in between the arms. Let's go ahead and look at the hands, rolling the eyes towards the hands. Bend the knees if you need, and we're going to walk the hands to the back of the mat, rolling on to the feet to our fold. And at the back of the mat, we'll go ahead and inhale for half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, engage the core. Come on up with a straight back or slow roll up. Hands above the head at the top. Exhale, hands down heart center. In our second walking meditation, inhale, standing weight to the left leg. Right foot lifts. Exhale it down. Inhale, left foot lifts. Exhale that down. And it's a slow walking meditation that if you feel wobbly, engage the core, press into the palms to help regain that balance if you need. And at the top of the mat, we'll meet in mountain, looking down at the fingertips. Inhale, press through the palms, extend upwards, separate the palms, engage the core, and hinge at the hips. Bend the knees if you need. Come on down for another fold. Fully exhaled here. Inhale, half lift. Engage that core. Lengthen through the legs and the back as best you can. Exhale, bend the knees once more. Come on down. One hand and then the other. Step a foot, another foot back into our high plank this time. Inhaling, shoulders over the wrists, nice and long from the heels all the way to the crown of the head. Go ahead and feel the strength from the shoulders down to the hands, as well as that long hypotenuse. Take one more inhale. One more exhale, bring the belly button to the spine, and then we can inhale, lift the hips, exhale, press them back towards your down dog. Bring the body to that upside down V or U, and give yourself some time to walk the dog. Give yourself about 3 breath cycles here. You can orientate the elbows to fold back if you can by just simply shifting through the wrists. You can roll up to the tiptoes of the feet and then lengthen back. See where those heels land. And now let's roll our eyes towards the hands. Inhaling deeply. Exhale, let's bend the knees and walk the hands to the back of the mat, to the fold once more. At the back of the mat, we can inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, engage the core, come on up, your choice. Once more, all the way back up. Exhale, hands down, heart center. And finally down to the side. Now, if you got a little warmer there, it's a great time for some water. And sometimes if you're going at a good clip, you can get a lot of heat generated from just the walking sun salutations there. Having more than 2 is also a good way to keep up a routine as well. All right, let's go ahead and start with our balance positions now. So standing sideways here, we're just going to shift our body weight like we did last week. Give yourself our mountain position and just a little bit of time to feel the center of gravity at about the heels. And once that's established, we'll go ahead and notice how the rest of the body is oriented. Are the hips just slightly tucking under the tailbone and then gently pressing forward. Just by doing that, you bring an alignment to the rest of the body. So I'll turn to the side so you just get that benefit. So some of us might be really tented at the hips, pitching the torso forward. So as you tuck under the tailbone and press forward those hips, you can just simply bring hopefully the spine in a more upright position. You can roll the shoulders back and down, lifting up through the sternum, through the top of the chest here. Gentle tuck of the chin. Hopefully that's bringing more of the ears over the shoulders, over the hips, over the knees, over the ankles. Eventually we're getting this upright vertical architecture for greatest stability without hyperextending the backs of the knees. So feel as if your knees are stacking on top of the ankles, hips on top of the knees, shoulders above the hips. And here's hopefully that alignment that you're looking for. And then we can go ahead and figure out that shifting of weight. With the next inhale, bringing that shift to the left side. It's just very subtle. And you can tell whether or not your weight is clearly on the left side by being able to slowly hover, lift the sole of the right foot. You're engaging the sole of the left foot all the way up to the hip. The core is engaged. And not too hard. You don't need too much there. Just play with that. You might tap back down with the ball of your foot. That's okay. Just see if you can find that space where you're able to balance for a few breaths. And then we'll come back down to mountain, shifting back the weight. Go ahead and do anything like a gentle bounce or just rolling a little bit to the toes and back down. And then you can kick out anything forward on that left standing leg that we were on. Same side, kick to the left before we cross over. Sometimes just a little bit of standing on one leg will just keep that activation going, so you want to release that. Now let's go ahead and move to the other side. Once more in our mountain. Inhaling, standing way to the right side now. See if you can bend the left knee, lift the left heel. Maybe you can even hover the entire left sole of the foot. Maybe not. It's okay. Just play with your balance today. And notice if you can stand on this side, how long you can do that. You're just cultivating that sensation, the muscles required. And then we'll go ahead and bring the left foot down and bring standing weight to both sides. You might have to lift that right leg, right side, once more. Kick out any residual activation of this standing leg side, the right one now. Always kicking off to that standing legs side before you cross the midline. Okay. And we'll do that one more time. Maybe this time you can lift the entire sole of the foot. Maybe you're still working on just getting the heel lifted without losing balance. That's okay. So inhaling nice and tall once more. Standing weight to the left side of the body. Find that stability. And then begin. You can start to bend the right knee. You can start to lift that left heel a little higher. Or maybe you could just see if you can bring the entire foot off and breathe. Engaging the core helps to keep your balance. And it's about 3 to 5 breaths we're looking for once we can establish that balance. Or we're just continuously cultivating that. Just work where you can. And then we'll go ahead and rest. Bring both feet back to center in our mountain. And again, kick out any residual activation of the left side of the body. And then we'll move to the right side. Inhaling nice and tall. Bringing weight to the right side. And seeing where our left foot can lift. And some days, can be a number of things that affect our balance. Just observe. And once we find that there, we're again waiting about 3 to 5 breath cycles just to establish, to connect to that muscle memory. And then we can bring the left foot back to center when we're done. Lifting up the right leg and resetting. Okay, now from here, we can go to chair, and I'm moving to the side view so you have an idea of where that weight should feel in the hips. But when we're in our mountain, standing upright, we can go ahead and bring the arms up, either at a tangent or directly above us, whichever is easiest for you. And we're just going to exhale and bend the knees until we feel the core engage, the glutes engage more than the quads. So once that's there, you can always test that by just simply lifting the toes. Do you feel that center is still unchanged right there? Then you're probably just where you need to be. If you find that your lower lumbar is compressing, round it out just a little more. Tuck under the tailbone. That just helps. Still, you should feel that weight at the hips right here. Just going on down. And if your arms are tired, you can always bring them down to the hips. Engaging the core, feeling the inner thighs, the glutes engaging, really rooting down at the heels. And lifting, extending those arms outward. The energy going out through the arms while the energy at the hips shooting down to the earth. So you should hopefully have this nice balance. And then let's go ahead and inhale, straighten the legs. And if your arms are still up here, go ahead and bring them down. Just let them release. Let them be nice and loose at the sides. If you have any activation, go ahead and just give yourself a nice little jiggle. You can always lift a foot, reset the mountain, and we'll go into our chair once more. If you'd like to use the heel lift to condition those sitting muscles, you can use the block, or you could just continue to use chair until you want to challenge yourself more or not. But using the block, I always like to have that right behind me. All right, so coming up with our second chair, let's go ahead and bring the arms up. Engage the core and just bend at the knees, sink the hips in, feel it nice and stable here. Lift the toes if you need to. And you can always extend through the arms, bringing the pinkies towards the inner area. Or you can bring them at heart center. Or you can just have them hanging out at the hips. Just an extra part of what you would like to do. But engaging the core. We stay here for about 5 breath cycles from that point where we're established. Let's go ahead and inhale, bring the toes upwards. We have a couple more breath cycles perhaps. Perhaps you can walk the heels onto the block. Still feel that engagement at the core. And then when you're ready, after your very last breath cycle, let's go ahead and release the hands. Inhale, straighten the legs and walk off the block if you're on the block, or just lower the heels. Give yourself a moment. Inhale the arms up. And you can interlace the fingers, press the fingers upwards, pointer finger released. And you can press down on the balls of the feet. And exhale, hands down, heart center once more. And that just kind of resets sometimes the hips, especially when we've flexed them for so long. We'll go ahead and make our way down to the mat. We're going to move into a tabletop position, so supporting the knees, supporting the ankles, anything that might need a little bit of cushion. So coming on down. If you have a special way you'd like to do it, you can fold forward, walk the hands down, start to bend forward, and just come on down to your best ability. And in our tabletop position, having the toes untucked, and hopefully it feels okay on the ankles to have them untucked. If it's just too much and they're really tight, you might need to have the tips of the toes on there for a while. Just be careful not to put too much weight into your kneecaps. We like the shins and the tops of the ankles, if possible, to support the lower body. The upper body, the shoulders, hopefully over the wrists. And here we're just going to start with a few cat-cows. Our spine is in a neutral position if our shoulders are over our wrists, our hips over our knees. And with the first inhale, we're just going to let the belly drop. Get it nice and soft and start to look maybe forward just a little bit. As we exhale, we're going to engage the core, start to round out the upper shoulders, lift up through those shoulders by pressing into extended arms and engage, looking at your belly button if you can, or towards the knees. Fully exhaled here, inhale, start to loosen up the hips. If you had a tail, see if you can stick it out back behind you and just slightly lift the gaze. Soften the belly, inhaling fully here. Exhale, start to roll the spine upwards, pressing into the arms. Here's our cat. Let's go ahead and exhale fully. See if you can get the belly button to engage towards the spine. Inhaling into cow. Just a few more rounds of this. And it's a slow movement. You're hopefully feeling how the pelvic is tilting along with each inhale of a cow and each exhale of a cat. And after your last cat-cow here, we'll go ahead and return to a neutral spine and walk the arms down. Forearms down, and then you can lift the knees and extend the legs back. Bring the elbows out if that feels okay. Take off any glasses and let the backs of your hands support the brown line. If this is comfortable for you, you're just hopefully allowing your belly to relax on the mat, having just a space to give the hips that chance to open up, supported by the mat. Let's go ahead and lift the head gently so that we can just remove our hands and bringing the arms down, return the face to the mat. A gentle let's see, your face is just being supported. It's a little smushed, but hopefully you have your neck in a neutral position and you're just lengthening through the legs. You might point the toes, just feel long in the legs. Take the next inhale, take the next exhale, and then we're going to inhale. Lengthen through the right leg, point through that right toe. Engage the glute from the right hip all the way to the right toes. And hopefully your kneecap might lift slightly, but you'll have that lengthening. Go ahead and relax that leg back down. Inhale, extend through the left leg, pointing through that toe. If you cramp up at the sole of the foot, just flex your foot, hopefully, and roll the ankle. Hopefully that'll release that. And again, on the left side, we're feeling the engagement from the hip, the glute, all the way down to the toes. So engage the calf. It's one nice long limb, and then release. One more inhale, and we're going to extend both legs out, pointing the toes, and bring the palms out to the side, resting on the floor. And then release. Go ahead and come up on the tips of the toes, turn the gaze to one side. And you might be on the apple of that cheek. You might be close to the ear, but just notice that it's in alignment with the spine and not curved off to that side. You're just turning the gaze, not the neck. And then inhale. Engage the chest, the pubic bone, and belly so you can lift the head slightly and turn the gaze to the other side. Give yourself a couple of breaths on this side as well. And then we'll return to the face being on the mat, just slightly lifted from there, supported. And we're going to extend through the arms, palms facing down, just off of the hips, maybe a foot or so. And then legs are nice and long. We're going to inhale to extend through all four limbs. And at that top of the inhale, we might engage the core, our belly, our chest. So see if you can lift the feet, just the feet. If you can lift the feet, maybe the entire leg can go with it as well. As you're still lengthening downward, engaging everything, maybe the hands can even come up too. Maybe the arms, maybe the shoulders. We're working through all of that, balancing on our hip bones. And then exhale, the feet come down, the legs go down, then the hands and the shoulders. And turn the gaze to the opposite side. Let the palms face up. Let the shoulders relax. Hopefully they're not tented. Hopefully they're just melting towards the mat. A few breaths here before you press into the chest and belly to turn the gaze and get a little bit of face turning on the other side. And maybe more of that area towards the ear might be in this nice gentle face turn. And then engage the chest and belly once more so you can lift the head and bring your face back to the mat. We're moving now to a base bridge position, and you can extend through one arm and just kind of use the other arm to kickstand and use that ability to roll over. If that's comfortable for you, you'll be maybe off the mat and just shimmy a little bit, the hips a little, then the shoulders, and come on back to the mat. Just slow, small movements to our base bridge position. And here, our heels don't have to touch our backside. We just want them near enough that we might be able to reach down and brush our fingertips against the heels. And they'll be about at our hips distance apart. And keeping the arms extended, palms facing down, and again, off to the side about a foot from the hips. And let's keep our knees nice and relaxed. We're just gonna let the knees kind of drop to one side until they naturally stop. We're rolling on the edge, right edge of our feet, just like in our warm-ups. And our left hip will lift, maybe even our left shoulder, or it might not. But we're just letting the knees drop. take an inhale, and if your hips are fragile, you can always use your hands to help guide the pelvis back to the mat and the knees back up towards the ceiling. We place the hands, palms down at the sides, and let the knees drop to the other side slowly until they stop. You're just letting the knees windshield wipe from one side for about a breath or two, a couple of breath cycles. And then we're going to inhale, knees back up, guide the knees up if you need. Come on back. And in the base bridge position, if something moved in the transition, readjust your base bridge, spine and neck in one alignment. And hopefully you're feeling the full sacrum supported by the mat with a slight space at the lower back, that little lumbar area. But if it's really high up there, you might have really tight hips that you just need maybe a rolled up towel underneath your lower lumbar or a blanket, or maybe just a little bit of time. You can always roll the pelvic bowl up and down to kind of flatten out the lower back, and then just let it lie, and you should have that natural curve. Hopefully that will help as well. With the next inhale, we're going to allow our hands or our strap or maybe nothing to just help us bring this left foot up. Keeping the left foot lifted and externally rotating. Just open up this left hip outward so you can start to bring this left ankle towards the right knee. We're moving towards a figure 4. And again, as we transition to that movement, our base might move. So once we get to that point where the ankle is resting on that knee thigh area, if your hips have shifted, try to bring the balance back to the sacrum, to the base of your bridge, bringing it back to center. Now for some of us, the knee might be winging inward, and we just are hoping to keep this upper portion of a figure 4, kind of with the knee opening up. You can always place your hand there to keep it from winging in towards the chest. And then again, notice how that feels at the bottom of your pelvic bowl, near the tailbone. Is it highly lifted? We're just waiting for the lower sacral area, the glutes, the hips to just relax and feel supported and be on that same plane as the back. Once that's there, keeping a flex to this foot as well to protect your left knee. We're just releasing and breathing here. Breathing for 5 breath cycles once you've found that sweet spot. Engage the core and then let it be soft. And then feel as if your hips are just releasing with each consecutive inhale and exhale. You might feel the base of your bridge just getting heavier, sinking into the mat, your back, your hips, just rooting, letting gravity kind of reset. All right. And to come out, you can lift the ankle and just start to internally rotate the hip. You can use the hands, you can use the strap, do what you need to slowly bring the left foot back to base bridge position. And again, make sure nothing moved in the transition, straight spine in alignment with the neck, hips are down, sacrum is nice and flat. And then we'll move over to the other leg. So inhaling, we might have to assist our right thigh to help lift the right foot. Just give it a moment there, see how it's feeling, and then externally rotate that hip as you're starting to bring the right ankle towards the left knee. I'm more tight on this, I'm much tighter on this side. So it's just gonna take a lot longer to kind of get into that relaxed area. So the left hip for me lifted there, and I'm just really, once I make that contact of the figure 4, ankle to the opposite knee, I'm just trying to make sure the base of the bridge returns. Just keeping that, finding that edge, and then keeping the breath nice and steady. If it's not comfortable for you, it might take a little bit of time to unwind, or it might be that you've gone too deep. So determine that in the next few breaths. Make any adjustments as you need. And as you found the space, that position, that you can just hold the position with ease and comfort, and using your yogic breath to help find and facilitate the release in the hips, the knees, glutes, hamstrings, everywhere. You can hopefully relax and just let gravity and your body release. You can also just rest the hands. One of the things I've noticed recently, one of my teachers likes to put their hand on the muscle that they're working on, just because they have that connection, a better connection to the muscle when they do that. So sometimes, you know, if you're touching your body that you want to focus on, that might help you to connect better. All right, and as we finish up our last breath cycles, we're going to lift, disconnect that foot, and then internally rotate the right hip before we lower the right foot back down. And then here we're going to windshield wipe once more, bringing the arms out to extend about a foot away from the hips. Go ahead and just let the knees fall to one side until they stop. Then inhale. You can use your hands to help guide the knees up if you need, or just engage the core and let the sacrum roll back to center, and let the knees windshield wipe to the other side. Inhale back up, and let the knees windshield wipe on a little faster frequency, just from side to side. In here, it's kind of like you're resetting the hips. You're letting them get a little looser, a little more lubricated, and then we'll meet with the knees back at center, pointing towards the ceiling. And we'll end with a spinal twist. So with your left leg, we're going to once more lift the left foot, and this time extend through the left leg. If you need to use a strap, go ahead and grab your strap, but use the first 3 to 5 breath cycles to find this extension of the leg. Now, for some of us, having the leg extended means a good deep bend to the knee, and that's okay. Just work there where you can. It might be that with the help of the strap, we're lengthening through the leg. And eventually, getting this leg to a 90-degree position if that feels good, with a long leg. But we might have to be in some form of a bent knee, or getting our way to that 90-degree angle somewhere else. Just work with it best you can. Once you find your edge, we're going to let the left arm be kind of a counterweight guide as we extend through the right leg. And if you have a block for the landing pad, if you know you don't go very far over, just somewhere in that direction. We're going to inhale and then exhale over. Just let that right leg drop where it can. It might stay up in the air like this. It may be a while before it reaches your landing pad. But it takes a little bit, so give yourself 3 to 5 breaths to find your spinal twist. And again, the left shoulder might lift too. That's okay. We're hopefully finding that landing spot that's comfortable, that we can manage without a constriction of our breath. And once you're there, breathing 5 breaths. You can play with the orientation of the palms, extension of the arms, even the turn of the gaze. Opposite side of where you're spinal twisting towards. So if you're off to the right, your gaze might land on the left. But all of these small nuanced adjustments are just basically for the benefit of your practice. If they don't speak to you, you don't have to do them. Hopefully by that very last exhale, you're just nice and relaxed. To come out of it, if the face is turned, bring the face back to center with the chest. Then if the shoulder is down on the floor, bring it in line with the other shoulder. We're going to prepare to bring the leg out of our spinal twist. So you can help by lifting, by using the strap, but we're pressing out, extending through the leg as we start to roll back onto the mat. Go ahead and then bring the left foot, and I've gotten just a little bit off the mat, so readjusting when you come back to the mat, to the base bridge position. And then we'll move over to the other leg. So using the strap, making sure once more that your base bridge is in alignment with the neck and the spine. And getting our strap, if we're using it, onto the sole of the foot, the ball of the foot there. And inhaling to extend as much as we can, or with a bent knee, lifting where we can. And again, a lot of this is just, it depends on where you are. We do want to notice whether or not our hip is still rotated outwards. We want the knee and the toes in one line. You can gently lift up and slightly guide the internal rotation if you need, and then just work on being aligned. You can keep that bend to the knee if it's just something you're working on, and eventually you might be able to extend where you are. And then at that point, you might be able to bring the leg into a 90 degree where you can. But once that final edge is identified, here we're going to breathe 5 slow, deep ocean breath cycles to help release. And then extend through the left leg. Once you've gotten your 5 breaths and you've extended through the left leg, we'll go ahead and spinal twist over. Bringing the right arm now as an anchor point, we'll slowly roll to the left side. And if you have your block, hopefully that's there too. Remember, your arms can either be at a T, they can be lower, closer to the body, palm can be up, palm can be down. Just depends on how the shoulders are feeling. But once you find that, breathe 5 deep, slow breath cycles. When you're ready to come out, make sure the face turns back to center, shoulders back in line, and then you can bring the left leg back up with the help of the hands, the strap, inhaling back onto the mat, onto the back, pressing out through the leg if you need, and then bend the right knee. You can give yourself another windshield wipe with both knees. We're moving into Shavasana next. So do what feels good to kind of allow the body those very last minute movements. Sometimes windshield wiping before you extend both legs, maybe have an over Head extended, arm stretch, toes lengthening, pointing, bending, tapping out the knees, whatever feels good to you. If you feel your lower lumbar is highly lifted, maybe this is a great time to put in that rolled up blanket. I'm going to sit up while you continue laying down, finding your resting spot for our final Shavasana. Palms are facing up, hopefully. Arms are extended. Fingers are loosely unfurled. And your feet can be rolled away from one another, or they can just be pointing towards the corners of the mat. When you hear the bells will awaken. bringing the mind back to the body. Take note of sounds outside the room, sounds within the room, and finally back to the breath. Notice how the air enters the nose, filling the lungs. Notice how the air exits the nose, letting the belly fall. And as you reconnect, go ahead and move any fingers, toes, rolling on the body, just something to come back to the body vessel. And as you wake your way up to an upright seated position, you can either be in staff, that's with the legs out in front of you, or an easy seated position of bringing knees into a crisscross applesauce. I don't know what that position is. But the easy seated position is one leg out in front of the other. Now for me, my hips are really tight, so I have high knees, and it's not very comfortable. So I have to bring the blocks to the knees or sit up really high on a block with the hips. That's just where it is now. So if it's more comfortable for you to sit with a high block underneath you, that might help you. But we're coming to a seated position, trying to stay upright in our open hips. And you can do that with blocks up high if you want to fold your shins in front of you, or sitting in a staff position. You can be with the hips slightly raised or just flat on the mat. We'll be ending our class with an easy alternate nostril breathing exercise to help bring balance to both sides of our body. Bringing the left hand to a chin mudra hand position, that's just the index finger and the thumb. We can rest this hand on the left thigh, and right hand going into a Vishnu mudra hand position. 2 fingers on the mount of the thumb. We'll close our right nostril with the right thumb, left nostril with the right ring finger. You can also just bring the 2 fingers to the brow line, closing like so, the nostrils. Taking a nice deep inhale, lengthen through the spine upwards. Engaging the core, let's go ahead and close the right nostril and exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close, exhale through the right. Engage the core fully at the bottom of the exhale. Inhale. Close, exhale through the right, through the left, excuse me. Inhale through the left. Close, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close, exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close, exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Last round, exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close, exhale through the right. Release the right hand. Release the left and right hand mudras. Let the breath come back to its natural state. Bring the hands to heart center. Thank you so much for joining me, Jeani, here at the ACC Community Room. I hope you have a wonderful day. Namaste. Bye. Stay hydrated.